Hi everyone. I want to talk today about choice and human design and change and growth and evolution. Ra is quite famous for saying, there is no choice. And I don't disagree with him, nor do I agree with him. I always looked at it within a particular context, that he was dealing with people who thought that, if you think something, you can make it happen. And we definitely, the mind does play a role in reality creation. But the way it's been interpreted a lot of the time is, all you have to do is think about it. All you have to say it's all good and it'll all be good. All you have to do is be positive. And even when you look into the earliest teachings of this, it boils down to one thing. If you're going to manifest something in this world, you've got to get it emotionally first. If you don't have it emotionally, all the positive thinking in the world isn't going to work. And why? Because it's disconnected from reality. The emotional part of our nature is a very, very important part of our whole nature, and it's very much embodied in the body. And our thoughts play a part. But when our thinking and our mind, when we're making decisions with our mind, when we're thinking things through and rationalizing and then working them all out, and we're disconnected from our emotions and we're disconnected from our body, which means we're disconnected from the reality we live in, and we're trying to make something happen in the reality that we live in. We're trying to make more money in our life. We're trying to manifest a relationship. And a lot of it is the mind trying to do things. And a lot of people I've met, in personal growth and that really don't like that word trying. And they have a point. Initially it was presented to me, well, you either try or you do. And I reacted against it because it was like, we're going to, you either make it happen or you don't. You think about it. And none of it really gelled and came together for me, not in my feelings and my gut. And, once I understood human design, I realized I make decisions with my gut. It never quite gelled with me until I came across human design, and then I lived my design very actively and deliberately for a large number of years. It's 8.5 years at least since I first learned about human design. And from the beginning, I was trying to live it. I was studying it and looking at it. But I would say at least for the last 5 or 6 years, it's been a part of me. After about 3 years in that, it got into my system. And I've been really living it very deliberately and consciously. And what's helped is I've been talking to clients about human design, doing consultations for human design, even doing these programs that we're now running on human design. And so, you really get to reflect and examine your experience and integrate your experience with what's actually happening, what you're actually learning. And it all comes together. And this is why I'm really a huge, not just a fan, but a believer in, that the experience of living your design is what teaches you human design. You can study it all you like for decades, but it's the experience, and it's integrating your experience and making sense of it. There's another video I've done called, how can human design work for you? And in that I go into what it takes for it to really work. So coming back to things like choice and creating your reality, there's quite a bit of perspective behind it when you see the big picture. One, we originally developed, early human beings, and it's even in the human design chart. We made decisions with our instincts. We were splenic. We were very intuitive, instinctive, tuned into what was happening in the moment. Right there, right now, our instincts guided us through life. And that triggered off intelligence because we had to deal with our fears, and we had to start really becoming aware of what was happening just by the very fact that things were happening. And awareness develops as you gain more and more experience of things happening. And then we shifted into making decisions with our mind. And I'll come back to this because there's a very deep connection between the mechanics in the chart and what actually happened on an evolutionary level, and even on a spiritual level, if you want to look at it from that point of view. We made decisions with our mind, and that was powerful, but it took us sometimes gradually, sometimes very quickly, away from our bodies. And we were making decisions more and more with a part of us that wasn't really invested in the real world, wasn't grounded in the real world. Yet we developed our minds profoundly and our brains, and we evolved, and because we were disconnected from the physical reality during that period of time, or not as connected, and the mind in a sense was stronger than the intuition, there was this tendency to override the body, to be disconnected from what's really happening. And in a lot of civilizations, there was huge progress and huge success, but at huge expense. And it came to the point a while ago where this wasn't going anywhere. It was just going to lead to the end of the world, basically. If we kept doing what we were doing on a global scale, we'd bring the whole place down on our heads with nuclear weapons and whatever. And even before that, it was getting out of control. Thousands, tens of thousands of people dying in one day on a battlefield, just being wiped out, and then it would happen again the next day. Economies coming and crashing, poverty everywhere, people being very, very, very rich and people being incredibly poor and enslaved. It was just, not just happening in certain areas of the world, it was happening, spreading all across the world, and things had to change. And now we've got to a point where we have access to strategy and inner authority, which brings us back to making decisions with the intelligence, with the wisdom, with the power, with the awareness, with all that's available to our bodies. And in the second program that we're doing now, we really go into how that enables us to also access so much of the support and power that comes from beyond our mind, from dark matter, from dark energy, as science calls it. And that's a whole story in itself, which I won't go into here. But it does connect us to a much deeper level of support and awareness and consciousness, empowerment and energy. It's not just coming back to the little old body that's disconnected from the world, as the mind likes to often see it, but it's coming back to a body that is a part of this world, a part of this universe, a part of all the energy that matter, light and dark, and even beyond that, that supports, a body that's now capable of being really plugged into life at a deep and profound level. And along with that, there's this development of a thing called emotional awareness. Now, Daryl, my partner in a lot of these programs that I run, asked me a couple of days ago, he said, but hold on, what about emotional awareness? It's more in depth and intelligent and that than mental awareness. I mean, doesn't that come with the body? And I thought back on it and it was like, yeah, well, most people think, well, the body is an emotional thing. So how can emotional, and it's been really emotional, and the fact that the mind had to take control of life was because the body was incredibly emotional. Otherwise things would get totally out of hand. There'd be no civilization. Anarchy would rule. And it comes down to this, that, yeah, emotions, what you've got in the human design chart is the emotional center, which is an emotional drive. But there's more to the emotional center than just being an emotional drive. It's also the center of emotional awareness. And they're two different aspects of the same thing, like waves on the surface of an ocean are part of an ocean, but there's so much depth, and the currents that move and the forces that move in the depths of the ocean are very, very powerful. Yes, waves are powerful, but these forces are down deep. The pressure, the deep currents that move in the deep ocean are extremely powerful as well. And yet they're all part of the same thing. Now, emotions are created by feeling and thought weaving together. You cannot think and not feel, and you cannot feel without thinking. The two things are connected. And when thought and feeling weave together, create synergy together, fuse together, merge together, emotion is created. And when you look at human design, you've got the awareness center of the spleen, which is existential feeling, instinct in the moment. And that was the first to really develop and show itself. And then there's mental awareness, the ajna center. Thinking the way you think as an individual, and how that taps into the thinking of other people. And that developed second, because that's when we were making decisions with our mind. And both of them are still active and can be easily activated in a person's chart. But then you've got this third awareness center called the emotional center, which is also the center of emotional drive. And it's no, accident that it developed first as instinctual feeling in the moment, then mental awareness, the awareness that comes from being able to feel what's happening right now, this instant, and respond to that. The awareness that comes from being able to think, imagine, feel, tap into others' inspiration, learn mentally. And then the awareness that comes from the emotional center. Until now, it's fundamentally been a center of emotional drive. It's what drove sexuality. It's what drove reproduction. It's what drove us emotionally, in tribes. What drove us individually, emotionally. But again, that was just on the surface. And that intelligence, the intelligence of emotional, as they say, emotional intelligence, of waiting over time and letting experience, letting your different perspectives when you're up and when you're down give you a more complete picture of what's going on. In fact, the emotional awareness to now is just being able to stay with your emotions and not let them take over, and let go up and down with them and learn over time. It's the ability to be patient and take your time in being aware. But within the emotional center is a far deeper awareness. Far deeper awareness. And it's connected to the depths of our emotional nature. In other words, to the depths of what we feel and what we think married together, merged together. working together as one, creating a synergy of something greater. Now, what that taps into is also to do with this. Each one of us has a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, an unconscious mind. That's even been described in psychology. And way back in time, early human beings, animals, trees, whatever, the point of power and, what moved things along in evolution was that the power was in the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is connected to everything. If you're a human being, if you ever access memories of past lives, future lives, other dimensions, other worlds, connect to your higher self, connect to your soul, your spirit, in a really legitimate way. I'm not just talking about mentalizing it, or creating a fantasy of it, but if you really legitimately connect with archetypal energy, as Jung, said in his studies, if you connect with those sort of energies, it's through the unconscious. And it was those energies, archetypal energies, soul, spirit, the desire of life itself to evolve, apart from any particular form it took. The desire of the whole of the energies of the universe and other worlds and whatever, all weaving together, all the experiences of life. That's what drove everything. And definitely at that stage, what Ra says is there is no choice. It's not about choice, it's about unfolding of the power of the unconscious and life's own drive to evolve and develop. And then things shifted, particularly with the development of Homo sapiens. See, being instinctual, the spleen center, and getting connected with your instincts and intuition is tapping into unconscious. It's knowing instantly what you have to do right here, right now, to deal with whatever's going on. Driven by, survival, driven by fear, but also pleasure and what nurtures and care. It's not just fear, but it's, fear of losing something, or fear of starving, or fear of being attacked and eaten. But there's also what will feed you, what will nourish you, being drawn to that. And, caring, basic caring about if you have a child. How many people need a manual on raising a child? Well, in some cases it'd be a good idea, but, we've managed to get there without manuals. All the different species have figured out ways of surviving until they didn't. But they were able to reproduce, they were able to nourish themselves, they were able to grow and change and evolve over time, all coming from the unconscious. But then along came Homo sapiens, and something shifted. Now I could do a whole other hour or two of just what happened on other levels, But fundamentally, there was decisions made because of the nature of this world and the nature of the possibilities of this world, this planet we're on, and the human beings that live there. There were decisions made at the unconscious to give that power to the subconscious. And the subconscious is the part of you that is specific to any particular lifetime. And it stores all the stuff that would burden you if you were conscious of it all the time. That's a very simple way of putting it. There's a lot more to it than that. But the subconscious is where we put all the stuff that we don't want to have to think about every day as we're going about doing things. And it really gave us the potential to think and strategize. But when we thought and strategized, we think, oh yeah, we're changing our reality. But every culture said, yes, but the gods, the fates, determining our existence. In reality, it was what we were putting into our subconscious, because our ability to think and program ourselves actually started from right when we were at the beginning, as children. And we often make decisions early on in our lives, or those decisions are made for us by the cultures we get born into, that put so much programming into the subconscious that by the time you get to adulthood or any sense of responsibility, it's all programmed and just running. And it seems like it's the gods, or it seems like it's the fates. And there's still the unconscious at work, having this very powerful influence. And now the subconscious is programmed, often by, I don't know what's really going on and I'm scared, or I've got to get on top of this. The emergence of the not self, I've got to figure it out and run the whole show, when it's not really my field. And the mind going, I've got to start getting in and running the body, and then going, well, this isn't going too well, maybe I'm going to dominate the body. Maybe I'm just going to get into an ivory tower and dominate the body, or I'll dominate my society, become a dictator, whatever, all this stuff that went on. And sometimes brilliant ideas come in, and obviously many of them did. Agriculture and science and evolution and mechanics and all this stuff did evolve, but the cost. And the fundamental thing is, the unconscious mind does not have choice. It's there to serve. The subconscious mind does not have choice. It's there to serve. And when you manifest in a human body, in a human life, you have access to that unconscious and access to a subconscious. They don't have choice, but the conscious you, the person that's actually alive, you have choice, especially in the last 100, 200 years. Because the point of power shifted to the conscious mind. We started to become really clear that at least the rumour spread, there was people out there going, I can do this. People started writing books. You can create your own reality in various forms, and became a really big deal in the last 30 or 40 years. And the reason is because you can. And you can use choice to do it. And everyone went, oh, all I have to do is make a choice. Yes, that's true. If you've got all your other ducks in a row and you've done the work to make sure that that choice is an empowered choice and a wise choice and a meaningful choice. And it's synchronized with what's going on. Because you can choose to go into the middle of the ocean and then walk to land on water, and in the vast majority of cases, it's not going to work. Positive thinking. After a while, you're going to drown. I mean, I'm just using a really extreme example to make the point. So just making up, a new bunch of words, or having a thought in your mind that I can do anything if I just choose, that's not going to do it. But the fact is, we do have choice in our conscious mind. Our subconscious doesn't, our unconscious doesn't. Higher self, if you believe in that, even God, if you believe in God, or whatever your concept of the divine is, chooses not to interfere in our lives, even when we do really stupid stuff. The so-called punishment we get is a consequence of our actions in the real world. It's not been struck down from above. They give us the freedom. We are in a free will universe where there is choice. But choice needs to be made with a clear awareness, a clear consciousness of the context within which you're making that choice. In other words, if you're not synchronized with the flows of energies in the universe, with the unfolding of evolution, with the nature of what's going on in your world, if you're not synchronized with the market, the stock market, you can choose to be a billionaire, but you're going to make all the wrong investments at the wrong time with the wrong amounts of money. You can choose to walk from one building to another from the 10th floor apartment, you know, but unless there's a bridge, or you're really good on tight ropes and someone's laid down a tightrope, or it, whatever, it's not going to work. And the consequences could easily be fatal. And yeah, maybe one day you'll learn to fly, but you could always get the lift, walk across between the buildings and go up to the 10th floor and save yourself years of programming yourself to fly. It's much easier, and then you can get on with your life. So here's where human design for me fits in really beautifully. It it opens the door for you to really look at what is really going on. I mean, I love it. The best part of human design to me that most people don't like is waiting. You get to wait, which means you get to become aware, very actively become aware of what's going on. If you're a generator, what's happening in the world, in your world. If you're a projector, what's happening with other people. If you're a manifestor, what's happening with you. If you're a reflector, just what's happening in the environment. You get to wait, you get to tune in, you get to become aware. And you become aware that you've got a physical body. And you can't deny it. If you're going to live in this world and enjoy living in this world, if you're going to be successful living in this world, you can't deny your body. I know people who have made millions and millions and millions of dollars in this world and have denied their body. And seriously, I've had clients like this, and they're in no position to enjoy it. And the only enjoyment they get out of having all this money is the temporary relief they have from filling one or another of their particular addictions or ways of reducing the pain or dealing with the issues. And then I know tons of people in this world who've got no money and are really suffering too. And some people like that who are very happy, and some people who've got a lot of money I've got clients who just love their lives. And it's fantastic. And every one of those that I've worked with, particularly in supporting them or coaching them or whatever you want to call it, mentoring them with human design, has just been blown out about how much better it gets even than what it is. What added value it brings to your life. And so coming back to this whole choice thing, the only part of you that really has choice is your conscious mind, and yet that is the least conscious, least powerful part of you, because it's just aware of what you're conscious of. And of course you can become more and more conscious, but your subconscious mind it's conscious of every single thing that's ever happened in your life, and got it all organised and ready, and it's feeding it back to you exactly as you told it to. And it's just waiting there for you to change the programming so it can give it to you even better or more appropriate things, but it'll do whatever you tell it to do. It's incredibly powerful though. And beyond that, the unconscious mind, which is, wow, almost unimaginably powerful and almost unimaginably conscious, where those archetypal energies, where your soul, your spirit, all this, where your access to every experience you've ever had anywhere, everywhere, not just in this lifetime, but anywhere. And access to your higher self and how you really connect with the divine. I mean, incredibly powerful, no choice. It's here to serve. You know, it's all hanging in there, working so that something really beautiful happens. And in this planet, in this place, it's called being a human being. And that human being is evolved to a point where the power is with its conscious mind. Now, this is the least powerful, least conscious part of you. So something has to upgrade very quickly. And that upgrade is this. You shift back into becoming conscious of how your subconscious works, conscious of how your unconscious works, conscious of your soul, your spirit, and all the various other stuff that's been serving, you, however you perceive yourself, for as long as you can ever remember ever being you. It's like, okay, I got the choice. I'm really new at this and not very powerful or conscious of what I'm doing. So I know you guys can't make the choices for me, but maybe you could help advise me, give me insight, put me in perspective, bring me your awareness, bring me your preferences. Now that's going to be more than my mind can handle, particularly my conscious mind. So how are we going to synchronize this up? Oh, I've got this new thing called emotional awareness. And that can tap into all of that, organize it, work with it, align it. It can even program my subconscious mind and help me do that and line it up in the right ways at the right time. It can open up the doorways to my unconscious mind and even work with it where I couldn't, because if I go into my unconscious mind, I'm unconscious. But this emotional depth and this access to all the support that comes into the body via our connection with dark matter and what lies beyond that. Now, for those of you who've never heard of anything like that, and that we cover it in program 2, it's very much about neutrinos and dark matter and crystals of consciousness and magnetic monopoles and all the stuff that's behind, the physics, the radical physics that's behind human design. And if you haven't heard about that yet, don't worry about it. When it's right, you will. And if you choose to, or if you decide to, if your strategy and inner authority says yes, we'll check it out. But there's access to so much that your conscious mind cannot handle. Your subconscious and your unconscious can, to varying degrees, depending on what areas you're looking at. Your unconscious can really handle, and if it can't, it'll pull in all the people it's connected to, all the beings, all the energies it's connected to, all the archetypes to help. But that's going to make your conscious mind, you, feel overwhelmed. And when you go into this realm, there is a sense of going, I don't know what's going on. This is the unknown. Sometimes it's the unknowable. But you've got this emotional awareness, whether you've got a defined emotional center or not. Emotional awareness exists. We just have various ways of expressing it, tapping into it, being connected to it, allowing it come and go and whatever. And the thing that just connects everything up is strategy and inner authority. And the way I've put it before, and I'll say it again here now, is your mind on all these levels I've talked about can come up with all these great visions and dreams and imaginings, all these great ideas, incredible possibilities. And they're not all meant to be manifested. Some of them are just to be things that energize you, or beacons for the future, things you can move towards, things you can embrace, things that inspire you and uplift you, even if you never get around to doing them. I mean, that's important. You know, energizing your body, energizing your mind, bringing your spirit alive, being connected to your soul and spirit, being conscious of your subconscious and unconscious. All of that brings more life into being alive now. But if it all hit you at once, you wouldn't have a clue what to do with it. Your conscious mind would be out of its depth. So if you're going to exercise choice, allow all this stuff to support you and advise you on when it's time, when it's the right time and the right energy to make a choice. And particularly, I mean, the choices, you know, your imagination and other dimensions of your mind can handle that. But when you come to deciding to manifest that choice, that's when it can overwhelm you, because some of the dreams and visions we're going to have now and in the future, some of the ways in which the world is evolving, it's going to be like, wow, is that even possible? How could that? I mean, even the glimpses I get of where human design is taking us and where evolution and life, it's not human design so much. Human design is just basically mapping it and recording it as we go. So we're aware of what's going on. And we're, you know, got simple means of really tapping into it. But as we evolve in that, it's going to start, and you can see it in the world. People are just getting, I don't know where this is all heading. And of course, fear comes in and people retreat into past behaviour, or they retreat into, oh my God, it's all falling apart. And sometimes there are times where really practical people have to come in and just deal with what is going on. But evolution is going to keep going. And often the other people are idealising it and rushing out there way before they're ready, way before they've done the groundwork, way before the timing is right, trying to manifest ideals. And you see this played out in politics in every country in the world. And it's very clear in America and European and in the Caucasian, at least it's clear to me, you know, because I'm one of those people. And you just see this going on. I'm sure it's happening in China too, because there's various factions and various, you know, the idealists, we're not going to be suppressed, and the practical people, we've got to get, you know, keep it together, and everything in between. Whereas in fact, no one knows where it's going. We're heading into uncharted territory. That's a fact. You can see it in science, you can see it in technology. It's happening in consciousness as well. Not because of science and technology, it's happening in consciousness and spreading out through the practical part of our world. We're heading into the unknown. You and I are heading into unknown territory. We're becoming new people. We're starting to actually realise we're new and tap into that newness and become even, and doing that renews us. We're becoming new types of human beings. And we have to, because the world is changing. And it's changing rapidly. And that's scary. And if you have to figure it all out with your conscious mind, and remember, your subconscious and your unconscious can't intervene and go, oh, you idiot, get out of here, we'll run the show. No, they can't. They won't do that. So the conscious mind needs to be given the space to do what it's great at. And then we tap in to this greater thing that's coming with this emerging shift and change in the depth of emotional awareness, which is far different than just being emotional and processing it. It's allowing this part of us that taps in to our thoughts and feelings and the energies, at levels we're not used to, and tapping into the energy that's coming from dark matter, that's coming from the world around us, it's coming from the unconscious, subconscious, from all the various aspects of who we are, whatever parts you're aware of, and bringing it into simple things like, who do I get involved with in a relationship? How's my business going to evolve? And when that happens, there's going to be times when you go, this is unknown territory. I don't know when it's ever going to work out. And that's normal. That's healthy. That's creating the space for your emotional awareness to emerge. Or if you've got a completely undefined emotional center like me, to at least be aware of what's going on emotionally with people and to synchronize with it and to take that information in, not to make the decision, but so my strategy and inner authority is aware of it when it makes its decisions with the defined part of me. So my sacral is still aware of what's going on with everybody else. And it's making decisions that are right for me in that context of knowing what's going down in the world around me. And so we're going into a new world, literally. And yet there's all this support just waiting for us to open up to it. And rather than making that some great crusade that the mind would send us on, some terrible struggle we'll all go through and then we'll get there, which is the way things were often for seven-centered beings. It's the way our movies, but if you look at our movies, they're changing subtly. There's more conscious creation. But then realizing that you can choose all you like and create all you like, but to do that, to really create your reality, the energies have to be right. Ultimately, it's all about resonance. The energies are right. Strategy and inner authority tells you when the energy is right and the timing is right, because a good decision, a real decision, will tell you when you got the energy and when the timing is right. And then, once we're going, oh my God, there are these forces out there, but I don't have to be a beggar all the time. And I don't have to appease them all the time. Whether it's just getting along and doing what I think they do. I can be responsible, but I can synchronize with the energies. And then, when I'm a responsible person who's in sync with the energies of this whole universe that we're in and my life, then I can go and work with other people who are in a similar state, and we can co-create. And beyond that, there's so much more as well. The beautiful thing with human design is it says you're responsible, but you've got to get in touch with the energies. It's your life. Human design is about the evolution of each individual. It's not going to save the world. It's going to give every individual the opportunity to become who they truly are and make decisions and live the life they were born to live by making decisions that work for them. It's the liberation of the individual. It's the equivalent of that I create my own reality. But I can only do that if I'm in sync with the energies at work. I can only go windsurfing when the wind's up. There's no point on a calm day. I can do other things on a calm day. And then, once I'm responsible and working with the energies and allowing their support and mentoring and love and empowerment to flow into my personal life. So I'm not dominating them with the least conscious, least powerful part of me, but I'm consciously enjoying the ride, sitting back and making decisions with my strategy and inner authority that syncs me right up. Then I can get together with other people who are doing the same thing. And then we create things like pentas and wahs and all this other stuff in human design, again, that we're covering in program 2. And it's just like, wow, what can happen with a group of conscious individuals working with harnessing and not controlling, but working with the energies and forces of the universe, where the program doesn't just program you, but you and the program become close friends, work together. And then there's an exchange. You know, the only thing that'll stop, as they call it, the program in human design, the only thing that'll stop the program programming you, just like when you go to court, the only thing that'll make you step beyond, you know, make the judge put aside the law, is if you do something that's so obviously in the best interests of society, and it's such an injustice for you to, you know, to suffer in this, and you can see that this was done with so much integrity. Then often there's movies about this where the judge goes, well, the letter of the law is this, but, and everyone gets up and cheers in the movie. Well, it's the same thing. When you're just so enjoying your life and loving your life and in sync with the program and conscious and aware, and then you have possibilities that turn up as choices. I mean, the way I express it is, it's like the program goes, ooh, because that was the whole thing behind it at the beginning, even at the beginning of this talk. I wonder if this happened, if we, and then it's like the program just adapts itself to the greater value that you bring with your innovative thinking, with your entrepreneurial spirit, with your great idea, or with the possibility that time has come. You know, as mechanical as human design is, and it is, you know, for someone who drives cars, okay, they're just mechanical things. Oh yeah, but I love driving this particular car. You know, if it's Daryl, it's like a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the latest model. It's just like, oh, Daryl, it's just mechanical. It's just this and it does that, and you know, and he goes, yeah, but, and you put that car in the hands of someone who loves what it can do, and what emerges is poetry, is beauty. That's what happens between the program. And until now, it's been important that people go, ooh, the program. Because if we didn't go, ooh, the program, you know, our minds would just go, I can just impose my reality on the world. I mean, all our minds do it. Mine does. It's like, you know, this is what I think should happen, and why isn't it happening? I'm going to make it happen. Oh, I can't make it happen. Well, I mustn't be a good person. All that goes on. But you put the mechanics, the S-Class Benz, in the hands of someone who loves to drive, who appreciates all the technology of that car. Even someone who lets someone else drive them, but while they're driving, they educate the person about what could be done with that car. And the whole journey turns into something brand new, unique, poetic, fulfilling. That's what's happening. And choice does play a part. But the fact that we can choose is something to be really humble about. Rather than, I can choose. I can change reality because I can choose reality. I just have to choose. It's like, no, oh my God. I've been given the power to choose in the midst of something so profound and so powerful and so beautiful and so intense. I need to have humility. You know, the last qualities that are developed in a true human being, once they just, the 10th quality out of 12 is authority. Human design gives you inner authority and access to your true outer authority when you really live it. Bringing out your unique awareness and your unique consciousness and sharing it with the world. Until you're following your strategy and inner authority, you don't even have access to the power that gives you that authority and that power. Again, that's a whole other story in human design. But once you have authority, there are two more qualities. One is service, because the whole world is in service. Your unconscious, your subconscious, the universe. It's doing its thing so you can exist. It's in service to you. And so once you have the authority, and if you realize you do have choice, you have to do it. You have to acknowledge that the greatest thing you can do as a human being is be of service. But to truly be of service, the last quality is humility. Having conscious choice is not something that's just taken for granted. Oh yeah, I can do whatever I like. Having choice is something you have to be incredibly humble with. I know I've learned that over decades. We need to acknowledge the authority we're being given and where it comes from, that everything is truly designed to serve us, not out of some idealistic mental thing, it just does. Fundamentally because it's fun and it's liberating. And it brings incredible awareness with it. True service can be incredible fun when you're truly serving something. Incredibly liberating. It grants incredible freedom. That's where the whole ideal of freedom came from. And then to put it all together with humility, to realize every day is a new day, every experience is a new experience. And then make choices and decisions. Make your choices humbly. Have your dreams and visions come from humility. And be of service to everything around you. And to do that, you use your true authority, the part of you, the authority within you that includes everybody, body, mind, spirit, soul, whatever, the universe, the world around you. And then when that happens, you experience what it is to truly be a human being. And you experience real change. Change that you consciously create by tapping into the energies, to the best time for you to do anything. And then working with other people doing the same thing to create. And then together tapping into the incredible forces and energies of the universe. What I would say if I was saying what Ra said rather than parrot what he said, and there was real purpose behind it. And he really knew what he was talking about because he lived it. But I would say there is no choice without humility. And with humility, anything is possible. Yeah, so let's just wind it up there. And I hope if you got this far that you really enjoyed it. Take care.